Welcome to another edition of Fourth and Pain, the only football and pro wrestling show to be hosted by an NFL player and a weight loss champion. With me, as always, current Redskins and former Nebraska defensive end Adam Carriker.
Go Big Red. Go Big Red when we throw them bones.
Wow. You're pumped up for this
Little
segment.
Ludacris, little black shirts, and little Go Big Red in there. How you like that?
I did not know that Ludacris attended Nebraska.
Well, now you know. Now you've been educated.
How about that? And so was he at the University of Nebraska. Former wrestling announcer, weight loss champion Chuck Carroll here. Be sure to give the show a follow at Fourth and Pain, where every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, you will find brand new content such as this. Super pumped about this segment. I mean, what a rare treat this is. 3 Nebraska former Cornhuskers here on the line with us, including yourself, Adam, and a lot to do out at Cornhusker U surrounding Coach Bo Pelini. So with that, we welcome your teammates, Helu and Will Compton, to the show. Guys, how are you today?
Don't everybody talk over
I'm doing good.
doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. Oh yeah, thanks for having me on too. I was waiting for Compton to say hello.
I appreciate you joining us.
That's what I was waiting for.
Well, that's what you do for having a little round table. It's chaotic, I tell you. But you know what? I mean, I obviously am the odd man out in this conversation, Adam. So what I kind of envision this segment being is just the three of you guys sharing your thoughts about what Coach Bo Pelini said a couple of years ago. Some very choice words as far as the fan base and directed at media guys. So with that, I'm just really going to step aside and why don't you set the table, fill the fans in that are listening who aren't familiar with what's going on out there, and then you guys talk amongst yourselves.
Well, just briefly, paraphrase what he said in general, or you can read the quote.
Well, I mean, I can't read the quote verbatim, otherwise that will be the last broadcast. I mean, basically what he said is, and this was following a come-from-behind victory over Ohio State in 2011, where a number of fans left, I guess, at halftime. Nebraska was down, and he said, you know what, F you fans, F all of y'all, and then he went on to say that the fans were fair weather, and they can all kiss his rear end, and you know, you'll see when he's gone, and just goes on and on to bury the fans.
Well, I mean, it's a paragraph. It's not that lengthy. And he was also upset at a reporter who had left his press conference. So that was part of his frustration as well. Roy, what are your take on Bo's comments?
I think that you guys let it in beautifully. You have to take it in context and what was going on in that season. And at that point, Coach Bo obviously is a passionate guy and wears his emotions on his sleeves. And it was in a private room when he made the remarks, didn't know that he was being recorded. And it was after Wisconsin loss that was on national TV and a big come from behind victory. And leading up to this game, there was, a lot of people who were doubting in the media and creating distractions, which happen often in Lincoln. And so after this, it was just venting. So, and also, I just think it was sad whoever leaked the tape right now, because I just think that they had bad intentions, especially placing it after this UCLA loss. And also, it's unfortunate that, there were so many expletives in it, but he's definitely not the first coach to ever cuss.
But to me, that's just Coach Bo's personality. He's very well. When I heard this, I wasn't surprised with the content, with the expletives. I mean, that's just Bo's personality. He's fiery. And in all honesty, my take is this: life is not PG. Life is not cable television. This is not PG. What you see on cable television. Life is more like what you see on HBO. That's more reality TV than what these so-called reality TV shows are. To me, I have no issue with this. I disagree with what he said about the fans. I don't think they're fair weather. I think we have the best fans in all of college football, and I'm not just saying that. I literally and actually do legitimately believe that. I'm more upset with the person who leaked this. That is a betrayal of trust, and that bothers me more than the expletives, the fact that he was upset and said something in private. What about you, Will?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what Roy said, heat of the moment after a big emotional game. Coach Bo, like Roy said, we had a rough game against Wisconsin the week before. It's just at times can be a huge roller coaster outside the walls of the football program. As far as in the media, among fans, is the highs and lows of really riding a high and really really, really going down on the low, and it kind of creates distraction. It was just kind of a big, in my mind, event. I mean, he was, like Roy said, in a private room. Everyone knows that he didn't think he was being recorded. That, as everybody knows, that's Bo's personality. And again, I mean, he's definitely not the only coach who's like that. I mean, that's just the reality of a very stressful job. I mean, and just being in the moment, the human being came out of him, and he was just speaking through his emotions on his sleeve. But yeah, I mean, it's just I'm with you, Adam. I'm very it's disappointing to see somebody leak that at this point in time when you have a big UCLA loss. People are already questioning the way the team is because of it's kind of been the same story, different year in and year out. Then you have the whole Tommy Frazier comment.
Well, let me jump in and actually share with the listeners what Frazier actually tweeted. He said, "How in the hell do you not make adjustments or put your players in the position to compete? If this is what's going to happen for the remainder of the season, count me out. You know, I don't care if we lose this game, but the way we are losing is just not what Nebraska fans deserve." So he's basically saying that there's time for a change as far as defensive play calling. He's not just calling out Pelini, he's calling out the D coordinator as well. So, you know, and from a guy such as Tommy Frazier, who's going to be there long after Pelini and the other coaching staff have left the university, Tommy Frazier and his legacy are going to live on. And then for Pelini to come out and say the things that he did in response to what Frazier tweeted, that again is a bigger mistake, because Pelini's response there was not in the heat of the moment. It was not made just hours or minutes after an emotional victory, after an emotional football game. And in the NFL, you have that cool down period. In college, I don't know if there's that same time.
Well, Will, we've only got a couple minutes left, so I mean, just say anything you want. We've only got a couple minutes. What is your reaction to what Tommy said?
I think people blew up the way. I mean, yeah, Bo said if you take those words and put it the way it was tweeted, that was the only line tweeted, and everything on Bo's reply to it, we don't need him. But you watch the interview and the way he said it, I mean, it was kind of blown out of proportion. I mean, it's not like he came out and said, we don't need him at all. Like, he didn't come out and say it like that. The way he described, we have a staff, we have players, we have people, I mean, busting their butt, and trust me when I tell you that that staff is doing everything possible. And another thing I disagree with on Tommy is the defensive calls and putting the players in the right position. I disagree with that. I watched the film the next day. I mean, seeing what the calls were. I mean, it's just you have a very young defense, and they got wore down in the second half. They did. They got mentally weak. They didn't. They weren't going through their technique, their eye discipline. I mean, they were in the position to make plays. They just didn't do it. I mean, at some point, the players have to take accountability, I mean, as well as the coaches. But, I mean, trust me when I tell you that staff is doing everything possible, relentlessly working to find answers to continue through this year.
Speaking with current Redskins Adam Carriker, Roy Helu, and Will Compton, former Nebraska Cornhuskers, all three of them. Guys, my big question to you is this. What should the university do moving forward with Coach Pelini? They came out and basically they're standing by their coach for the time being, but what should the university do in the future? Has this kind of sealed Pelini's fate, and will there be a change at the end of the year?
What do you think, Roy?
It's hard to say. I definitely think that they made the best decision now, currently, because of there's just so much going on, and I'm glad that the university backed them, especially this early in the season. And also, they'll have a time to reflect after the season. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if any of us do. But I could say from a player's perspective that I enjoyed playing under Coach Pelini and the offensive staff there. And it was hard because I didn't know how to prepare going into games before he got there. And I didn't know how to be a good student. And so when he got there, he sharpened me as a man. And for that, I'm really grateful. And I'll back him for whatever or wherever he goes, or if he's retained.
What about you, Will?
I mean, again, I agree with Roy. It's not really for me to say what should happen and so I'll kind of stay away from that. But I know personally, I wouldn't be the player I am or in the position I am right now without that coaching staff, and just from a standpoint of a defensive mind and somebody who knows everything about the game. I mean, he's one of those guys, and that it sucks because what's on paper over the past year is kind of the same story. On when we lose badly, but when we get it down, we're really good when we're clicking. But I think Coach Bo's a tremendous head football coach, and as well as that whole defensive staff, Coach Ells and all those guys. I think they do a great job.
Well, let me give my take on all of this. First of all, I got to say I had a rough weekend last weekend. I'm hurt. I can't play. I can't help my Redskins. The game didn't go great. We got a better team than that. I got to watch my Huskers. That game didn't go well with UCLA. So I had a rough weekend last week being a guy that's hurt, can't do anything to help anybody. But here's my take on this. First of all, people want to attack Tommy because he didn't his career didn't go very well at Doane with the coaching staff. He said he's learned and moved forward. To me, it's not about that. It's about him as a Husker and his opinion and his take on everything. I don't think you fire the coaches now. That'd be ludicrous. That'd be ridiculous. It'd be an overreaction to one loss. I'm a Bo guy. I played for Bo my freshman year in 2003. Loved Bo Pelini. When he got fired at the end of that year and they brought Bill Callahan in, I played under 3 defensive coordinators at Nebraska and I believe 3 in the NFL. So I've seen a lot of different guys. I've never seen, when a coach gets fired, a whole entire defensive, all the guys on defense, the D-line, linebacker, secondary, get together and give that coach a farewell dinner. I've never seen that before. That's how much he was loved. So it's hard for me to say anything bad about Bo whatsoever. Here is what I'm going to say, because I love Bo. I am going to say Nebraska is no longer a national power. If we think we are, we're kidding ourselves. You can't lose 41-21 to UCLA, 45-31 to Georgia, 70-31 to Wisconsin, 63-28 to Ohio State, giving up 34 points to Wyoming. I know this is a young team, and I'm taking that into consideration. I love Bo. He's a good coach, and every year he wins 9 games. And for 40-some years, Osborne and Solich did the same thing. The difference was they'd be 9-2, 9-3. Now we're 9-4, 9-5. We're playing a lot more games with a lot more losses. Tommy can say what he wants to say because this guy helped this program win 2 national championships. In the 93 Orange Bowl, we make a field goal. It's 3 in a row against Florida State. So to me, he can say what he wants. I don't know that he did it at the best time or in the best way, but that's how he saw fit, and he's entitled to that. To me, my biggest issue is this. I love Bo, but a team that gives up those kind of points, 40-plus points, I want to say 6 straight games against major BCS conference teams. I don't know if that's completely accurate, but 45, 63, and 70 to Georgia, Ohio State, and Wisconsin, that's not good. And he's a defensive coach. That's what he is. Rex Ryan and the Jets get a lot of crap, but his defense is always good. They need to fix their offense, and then they'll be rolling. That's all they need to do. Bo Pelini is a defensive coach, and our defense is struggling. So what I would do is this. Here is my take. I would let this year play out. You don't fire a coach during the season. You don't fire him after a bad loss like this. The soonest you fire him is at the end of the regular season or after a bowl game. I see how this year plays out. If we go 9-4 again, I tell Bo this: you've got a young team. You recruited these players. You made it so it's a young team. You brought these guys in. For some reason, there's not juniors and seniors here, so you got to take responsibility for that. But sometimes you just get a young defense. If we go 9-4 the following year, the minimum at the University of Nebraska is winning conference championships. We haven't done that since '99. We haven't been to a BCS game since '01 when we played Miami in the Rose Bowl for a national title. The minimum is conference championships. We expect to be in the BCS games and national title games like Alabama on a frequent basis. That's what we're used to and accustomed to around here. So I would say let's see how this year plays out. If it goes horrifically, maybe you've got to do what you don't want to do. If it goes great, then you don't worry about it. If it's 9-4, you say, Bo, you got to win the Big Ten Conference title next year, or we got to have a serious talk. And you don't do it publicly, you do it privately. I love Bo, but a defensive coach has to get better results from the defensive side of the ball. That's my take.
Current Redskins, former Cornhuskers, Adam Carriker, Helu, and Will Compton on the phone. Guys, we greatly appreciate your time. And unfortunately, we got to end this segment. Otherwise, I'd ask what Coach Shanahan says about the media behind closed doors.
I don't have that recording for you, Chuck. Sorry.
All right, guys. Greatly appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us here on Fourth and Pain.
Yep. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll be right back.